weren't able to attend this morning. There we go. Okay, so introductions out of the way. Let's there. If you have really good eyes, you can read the minutes from the last meeting. Anyway, I think I've sent them to everyone. The basics are our mission from the Online Education Initiative is to create a clearinghouse of professional development materials which will serve the entire system. Even though the funding comes from OEI, it really is designed for all staff and all faculty, and even all administrators. Our strategies from last time, our first strategy we nixed right away, which was to hold a big summit and have everybody come, and we paid for the whole party, and it turned out to be way too expensive for that to happen. So now we're looking at regional summits to see if we can't get ideas from all of those who would be contributing to the clearinghouse and of course using it. And that's kind of where we are at this point. And one correction to the minutes. I had Jan Schart's title wrong, and he is a learning resources specialist. I think I made that correction to the minutes that I sent out to everyone. Who just joined us?
Leslie Carr.
Hi, Leslie. Welcome.
Hi, Lee.
We just really got started. I just presented the minutes from last time, August 20th. Any other comments about the minutes from last time? Good enough. So here's kind of the crux of where we are. From Deborah, I got the regions that 3CSN has been using for their outreach programs, and so I think that's the route that we'll probably go. There are 7 regions, and if we can go with 7 summits, we might actually be able to get that done in October, November. The colleges do kind of overlap a little bit. In other words, I think there are some colleges that could potentially go to one region or the other region. I think in the handout that I sent to all of you, I had highlighted, for example, Lake Tahoe could be far northern, but they also could be Bay Area, North Carolina. They could decide to go to one or the other. So there's some overlapping there. And I think, Deborah, you've already confirmed that this looks about right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blaine, this is John. I was just noticing College of the Canyons listed under Inland Empire. I can't see that would.
Well, that's that's the product of what we're looking at is just the regions that College of the Canyons have typically connected to in terms of 3CSN. It's not necessarily, these aren't necessarily strictly geographical, but
okay.
For whatever reason, College of the Canyons tends to go to the events that are hosted through that regional network.
Okay.
Because it's just, I don't know why. It just is that.
That's quite all right.
That's where they're at.
Yeah, I was wondering that too, because I was looking at the Bay Area one and I was thinking San Jose is not Central Valley.
No.
But it makes sense in that sense, because a lot of the faculty live further out, and so if they are coming from home, it might make sense for them to go to a Central Valley event.
Right.
Yeah.
And in some cases, they go to both. I mean, it's kind of a split because part of this is based on where faculty live too.
Mm-hmm. No, that's helpful, Deborah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So then I'm guessing that our approach would be to line up the dates and have a single sort of flyer or announcement that would go out letting people know we're having these summits, this is where they'll be, and then let them choose which way they want. In other words, not assign or even do a sort of directed marketing toward regions, but market to everybody and let them know you can come to anyone that you want to, but more than likely, if you're in San Diego, you'll probably go to the San Diego Regional Summit, right?
Right.
Make the most sense. Okay, so that's good. We've accomplished a lot right there. So 7 summits essentially. Then I sent you also a sort of sample of kind of how things would go, what it would look like if, in terms of venue. I know we had talked about doing things on a college campus. I have found that it's good to do that, but sometimes difficult to get the campus, especially once school has started, to get the campus to accommodate a large group in an ideal manner. And I also think that it might be attractive to try to get a hotel venue, something a little away from work for those, especially at the host colleges who actually want a little break and be able to think about something besides what's going on, next door or in their office, etc. So anyway, we're looking at finding a hotel conference center type of thing in each of the venues for this. So here's kind of the general layout of the time schedule. A little bit of time for registration, which would be handled by Barb's folks. Introductions, then a break, then breakout sessions for brainstorming, lunch of course. In the afternoon, trying to get some consensus from the larger group about, what did we discuss, what are the kinds of ideas that have been thrown out, where do we go from here. And then closing remarks as we get there. Yeah, if I'm getting an echo, it's probably because you're both on the phone and on the computer. So one or the other will work, but not both generally. Okay, I'm not getting it now, so we're good. Okay, so breaking that down in the introduction session, I would want certainly any of you who are part of this committee to be introduced, to have a chance to explain, kind of what your role is in this deal. Okay, now I am getting some noise. Somebody moving around?
Nope.
Behave yourselves. Okay. So you get the idea, and then of course how things interact. And I think this might also be a good time, either here or in the afternoon, for 3CSN, 4CSD, Academic Senate to talk about their efforts in professional development, certainly about the 4CSD spring conference, etc. See how they, so, all of this ties together. We're all playing as part of a team and get everybody introduced there. Once we have, I've talked to Mike Howe. He was at the OEI Summit last week in Sacramento, and he and I discussed bringing in a facilitator from the RP group for each of these summits. He actually thought maybe we'd want more than one facilitator. One facilitator to sort of handle the brainstorming, moderation, and activity, and a graphic facilitator to be able to handle the summarizing. But anyway, that if we go that route, and if we are able to get somebody there, we may have some ideas from them as far as kind of icebreaker or crowd warm-ups. But I do have in my arsenal of weapons the audience response systems, the little clickers that allow people to vote on different items and for the graphical representation of what happens from those votes. So I think it might be interesting anyway as a part of who are we, to get an idea of who we are by asking some sort of demographic questions. Are you a faculty professional development person? Are you staff expert? Do you come from a large school, a small school? How many of us are here, etc. So anyway, that's the kind of idea, just something to get everybody involved in doing the same thing. And then an introduction to the concept itself. And then for those of you who are online, I'm going to try something. And for those of you who are offline, I can give you a URL. It's bit.ly/BlanePD. And if you have speakers on your
say that one more time.
it's bit.ly/BlanePD, BLAINEPD. Actually, I'll put it down here. If you're online, you're already seeing it. That won't work. I'll send you the link later. It's just a little video. John will know that I was playing around with Powtoon at the summit instead of paying attention to what I should have been doing, and put together a little video as a sort of introduction of what we're doing.
Hi, Blaine. This is Bonnie. I just joined.
Hi, Bonnie.
Hi.
Welcome.
Sorry, I'm late. Thank you.
Oh, and this is Gwendolyn. I joined late too after you took roll. So.
Welcome, Gwendolyn.
Thanks.
Now, how many of you were able to see that? Just chime up. Speak up.
I was.
I can see it.
I can see it.
Great. So what do you think? Just a simple introduction to what our concept was. Go ahead. You won't hurt my feelings.
I love Powtoon. I liked it.
Well, just the idea, let's make something. That was kind of my first approach to the whole deal anyway. Let's make something, and then the concept of let's do it together, let's make it useful, let's make it easy. And the samples there. But the general idea is let's try to get people to focus on where we're going with it. And I also thought that this might be the place where we bring in, potentially the Sac City team, at least in one of these summits, have them talk about, why they started their database of professional development resources, and give them the credibility of, look, we started something here. We think it's pretty good. It would be certainly a lot better if everybody contributed to, to building this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's the basic idea. And then the process itself, breakout groups. Of course, the groups introduce themselves. You get a record keeper. You get a person who facilitates the discussion. Usually, there are rules in brainstorming, like, there are no bad ideas. That sort of, oh, Kelly, I see your comment. If we use cell phones as clickers, we can also get short answer responses, which is true. There are a lot of different ways we could go at that. So I'm also looking at a company that I've been in contact with that allows your cell phone to serve as a microphone. So if you have a large group, you can actually, instead of having a kind of a rolling speaker mic, allow people to direct their comments from the floor, right from their seats. So I think, if we follow it, I'm going to follow up on that and see if we can't make that possible as well. To hook right into the PA system at the hotel. That would be pretty cool. Anyway, so okay.
System record as well?
I don't know that they do the recording, and I'm not even thinking about recording these particular summits because, most of the work is actually being done by the small groups themselves, the brainstorming groups. That becomes a little noisy, but certainly the recording of the process will be the important thing, what we get from the RP facilitators, for example.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm sorry?
I was just curious. I hadn't heard of that program. That was neat.
Yeah, it was pretty. I'll send you the information I've got on it, and we'll talk about it. I heard somebody else join as well. Did I get another member?
Hey, Blaine, Micah joined.
Hi, Micah. Welcome. So anyway, the process itself, and there will be rules for each of the people, of course, in the brainstorm. No idea is a bad idea, blah, blah, blah. Go on from there so everybody feels free to talk. And then the topics themselves, and I believe I probably handed these out with the sample program. I've changed my mind about at least one of these, but let's hear from the group before I say anything.
Maybe flip on that. They have a little flyer at the top.
Any reactions?
Okay.
I think topics 2 and 3 are sort of similar. Actually, 1, 2, and 3 are all sort of similar, and I'm wondering if there's a way that we can suss those out a little bit more.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure people would even know what they want yet until they start the discussion. So, yeah. And topic 4 is just depressing.
Yeah, that was the one I changed my mind about, actually.
Yeah.
That's just negative.
Yeah, I think instead I would want to say something like, there's my tool here.
This is Nina joining. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Something like what instead of what might fail, what would you be bringing? What kind of content would you or your college be able to contribute to this clearinghouse? You know, get a little more of a buy-in from the participants themselves. Does that make sense?
Yeah. You know, one thing this is Gwendolyn, that I've found with people is people are easier to, or it's easier for people to correct something or point out what's wrong and how to improve it than it is to come up with a blank piece of paper.
Yeah.
So sometimes maybe if we gave them a list of general ideas and then they could pick it apart from there and they could add to it and they could, we even just starting with like what was available at the Sacramento location website, and then they can add and subtract from there.
So that sounds good. Start with a sort of sample list of the things that almost are obviously going to be part of the clearinghouse.
Yeah, and then let them explore what's been missing from your past experience, and how much further could we take it, or things along that line. I think it will get over the basic stuff and help them have some energy for it.
I think that's a good plan.
This is Nina. I think that's a good plan too, because if some people are presented with a list in front of them, it could be a springboard for other ideas that will come forth.
So we'll start off with that. We'll of course I'll let the RP facilitators contribute their ideas on how this stuff works. This is what they do. But I do like the idea of kind of what do you say, priming the pump, providing a few ideas before they start flowing out. Okay, so then the next activity really would be lunch, but then after lunch, getting them to sort of vote on which of the ideas, which have been, each of the groups will have, newsprint galore. Let's assume, and the ideas will be, kind of placed around the room, and people use little colored dots. I'm sure some of you, anyway, have probably done this kind of activity before. But you essentially vote on the ideas that have the most value to you, or at least strike home. So we get an idea of kind of which ones are rising to the top. Then they report back, and then we have the general discussion. And again, this would be an opportunity before we send everybody off to make sure that each of the groups, all of you, are able to talk about the things that you think are, for example, Dolores, talk about the Professional Development College and the activities of the Senate, 3CSN, 4CSD, all the things that you all are doing. John, maybe an update on OEI, etc. that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So is the goal to be kind of on a little bit more high view, not a lot of detail at this stage?
Yeah, I don't think the detail, I mean, we'll get the detail more in the implementation than in the idea gathering. You know, I think everybody's still going to go away with a sort of general idea of, okay, there's going to be something I'm going to be able to search and I'll be able to find things on it, and hopefully we'll be able to use them. But they won't know what it's going to look like because we haven't built it yet.
Okay.
But I really don't want to build something before I've heard from people about what they want to do with it.
Yeah, exactly. Because it changes how you run those groups depending on how much detail you want. So.
Right. So that's the general idea on the summit, and if that seems to work, then I think we'll stick with that outline. As I say, I've shared it with Mike Howe. He thinks he's got his ideas about what kind of facilitators we'd need for it, and he's coming up with the list of possibles. He's got the regions, so we kind of know where we are from there. So now we have to get down to real nitty-gritty. If we're going to do this in October, November, these are the dates that are available. Of course, strike out the S's. But here's a good point for Barb to give me some idea of what's possible.
Okay. I wanted to.
Oh, sorry. Can I just clarify? We're doing one date for all 7 summits. That's the idea. Or are we doing 7 different dates?
I was thinking 7 different.
Jesus. Okay.
No, I don't, Blaine, I think we talked about this before. I don't know that that's even feasible. I don't think we have to have one date for all 7, but it might just be a couple of dates where they're happening at the same time. Because 7 different dates, and most people have already booked up all their Fridays and things like that.
Right.
There'd be a lot of competition.
Blaine, this is LeBaron. I'm just joining the call. I'm sorry I was in a meeting and I didn't get to invite until I came out. So.
No problem, LeBaron. Welcome.
All right.
Maybe you can introduce yourself to the group.
Sure. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to really interrupt. I just wanted to let you know I was here. My name is LeBaron Boudreaux. I'm the Dean of Academic Affairs here in the State Chancellor's Office. And been working on professional development for some time, and so I'll just wait until I need to say more.
Okay.
I'm a shy kind of guy.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
Okay.
A man of few words. Right. Okay. Anyway. No, my thinking was that I mean, it's fine if we have limited dates and we have to do things all at the same time. That's fine, but it makes it difficult for me to figure out how to facilitate that because I can't have different people. I can't, particularly at hotel venues. I need Barb's group to help with the registration and the facilitation of lunch and the logistics and all that sort of thing. So I think we have to spread these out to different dates for each of the regions so that we can get to them and make sure everything's working.
Blaine, that's also where you could utilize your partners in this. I mean,
That's true.
I certainly think that we do a lot of these kind of events, and we'd have people on the ground willing to help you, and I'm sure the other organizations would as well.
Right. I agree with that too. It's going to. My first thought about the calendar, though, is pushing it to the later, just so we have more time to promote dates. And so the November dates are looking, to me, they're the better, but not get so close that we're already on Thanksgiving. So those first, between the 1st and the 19th are probably closer to being, good dates. In November, just it gives us a little more time to promote because it's going to take some energy building, to get all the right people there.
Right, and I'll just tell you now, the Academic Senate plenary session is the 13th, 14th, and 15th of November.
Okay.
So all of the Academic Senate leaders will be at that, as opposed to, so I think that would be those would be difficult dates.
I wonder if we can get a small session with them, because that would be great feedback from that group.
It's possible. I'm actually doing professional development breakouts at that session. So we can talk about that. We've got an exec meeting next week. So
that would be a terrific group to get some feedback from, because they really have so much of a pulse of the faculty. So, so maybe the other day.
From 4CSD and College of the Canyons. Blaine?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. If it's held on a Friday, we could definitely, College of the Canyons could host one of the areas. We have a room in our university center that's quite large that could seat probably 100 people, and it's all wired for technology, so, and it wouldn't cost anything. So I'll throw that out there as long as it's a Friday.
Okay. And what about lunch and that sort of stuff?
Yeah, we have a couple of options for catering on our campus that I use. We can just go through them.
Okay, Barb, do you want to, now what region would that be, since we've kind of decided Canyons?
Well, that was all definitely from people in LA, also people in the Inland Empire, and possibly even people that are more central. So I mean, understand that those geographical boundaries are just, I mean, or the way that
I know. I've driven to quite a few of these between these regions anyway, but.
And if people can't go to one, they'll go to another, which is
right.
Right.
Can I, Barb here, I want to make a recommendation. I know we kind of went ahead and we started a hotel RFP, and Peggy can kind of get into details on that, but we already started the ball rolling with a couple of the regions and getting, just seeing what availability is right now. So what we were doing with these hotels and venues, we were sending an RFP. We just did one right now for Orange County, and we were targeting the week of October 20th, the week of October 27th, and the first week of November. Those 3 weeks were kind of the 3 weeks that we were kind of working with in terms of getting availability from the hotels and venues. So I think for us to get more negotiating power, it'd be great to try and keep all of these regional meetings at a hotel or venue, because if, for example, we do it at a Hilton, we could do it at multiple Hiltons, or if it's a Marriott, or, I mean, we don't want to go high end, but we get more bargaining and we get more, concessions for this particular type of meeting. So I think if everyone's in agreement, I think we should try and stick with the hotel or conference center or something at this point, because we will probably have to utilize the hotel anyways if we're at a college campus, in case people have to stay overnight at a hotel the night before there's a presenter, or so be it. I don't know, how does everyone feel about that? Blaine, if you want to kind of reiterate what we talked about last week after our last conference call.
Yeah, I think I'm still inclined to go with the hotels. It's it's a little cleaner on the approach, because they're used to hosting us and all the rest of that. I understand and I appreciate certainly that that we'd like the campuses involved. The one thing, Barb, though, is that we've kind of thrown out the idea of paying for people to stay over.
Right.
These are drive-to events.
Right.
They may get a deal or something. I mean, they might, if they decided they need to stay over, maybe a hotel would give them something for that. But that's not going to come out of our budget.
Right.
So
but they still have an option. Yeah, they still have an option to stay overnight if they wanted to, or didn't want to drive back that day, or whatever. They can pay, paid on their dime.
It might be good to note that the last week of October is also the CCIO conference in San Diego.
Right, I know that one.
Yeah.
Okay. Peggy, can you make note of that?
This is where a nice clearinghouse would already tell us what dates are the best dates.
Exactly.
You know, we ought to build a clearinghouse like that. What do you think?
I know, yeah, good idea. But we haven't.
Barb, I made a note of that. I was on mute.
Okay, great. So does anyone really have, are there any dates aside, okay, since that last week in October won't work for the San Diego region, are there any other dates that we're aware of in the last 2 weeks of October or the first week of November that would not work for a regional meeting?
I think the first week in November is your best bet on that one. Personally, that would be the best for me. I know, and a lot of my area people. So.
Okay, what region is that?
In Ventura. And
okay.
This particular area, just depending on, because we have a number of things I know that are going on with among 3 of our colleges.
Okay, so first week of November for Inland Empire, we'll kind of focus on that.
That was actually the Los Angeles, part of the Los Angeles area.
Yeah. Ventura is kind of a border. I think they probably would go LA instead of Inland Empire, depending on which mountains they had to cross, I guess.
Okay.
And Santa Barbara might do that too, but it's hard to say, you know. I like the idea of it being open to people. That's great.
Yeah. Well, let's try to see what we can fit in, even if we did first week in November and let's say 3 events that week. That leaves us with 4 to cover between the last week of October, let's say, and the second week of November, the first 3 days of that, let's say. And then you've still got that 3rd week, which is open for some possibilities. I have to appreciate what Devin and Leslie are saying, which is that we need to gear these people up. We're not going to have an audience if we don't, you know, soft them up to the whole idea.
Right.
So I need to let these organizations get involved in, you know, getting their members to get excited about the summit itself. And we need a little prep time in getting marketing materials and all that sort of thing.
Right.
So I am kind of inclined to say, yeah, let's push it back. Let's not push it back too far. Obviously, that last week there is Thanksgiving, but let's push it back far enough so that, you know, we're prepared and our attendees are going to be prepared as well.
Right.
So how's the suggestion of, let's say, 3, 5, and 7?
Right.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday for the first week in November. And then look at what can we do that last week of October. CCCC, I forgot which date that was.
It begins with a pre-conference on Monday the 27th, and it goes all the way to Friday the 31st.
So that's a week that's goofy.
Yeah.
Still, that's in Southern California, so let's look at maybe Northern California for that last week in October.
Yeah.
You're probably not going to get a lot of people from the Bay Area, or certainly from the far northern. I mean, maybe you would, but who knows? You can't turn around without finding a conference in October or November somewhere. So.
Exactly. It's really crazy time.
Right.
Yeah. Heck, I may be at one of these. I haven't checked my own calendar, but I know I'm committed to a couple of things myself.
So Blaine, for the last week of November or last week of October, we're looking at Northern California and possibly the Bay Area?
Yeah, now I know you've looked at the Orange County, and you were focusing. What were you saying, Barb? You were focusing on.
Peggy, what was that date that we got from the Hilton for the RFP? Was it the 23rd of October?
The Hilton has Monday through Thursday available, so I think that's 20 through 23.
At the Hilton Costa Mesa was the one that we were looking at.
Correct.
That was the one out of the 4 properties that Peggy looked at. That was the one that was most affordable and had the best availability on date. But is that too early? You know, is that
Let's assume it's too early. Let's go back to them and see if the next week is available.
Okay, the week of the 27th?
Or the week of Orange County may be actually looking at the San Diego thing. Maybe it'd be better to look at either 3, 5, or 7 in November.
Okay.
For that one.
I'll look into that.
Let's look at in fact, let's look at November 3, 5, and 7 as possibilities for all of our southern. So the Los Angeles, Orange County, and San Diego.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
Yep.
And then we can look at either the last week of October or the remaining dates in November for Far North, Bay Area, Central Valley, Inland Empire. So let's try to get those kind of closer together so that basically so that our own travels aren't crazy.
So Blaine, that was a question I wanted to ask you. It's Dolores again, and I apologize since I wasn't on the last call. I didn't know how you were structuring all of these. Is the expectation that those of us who, me as one of the academic senate people, would attend as many of these as possible?
That would be a hope, not so much of an expectation. I really don't expect that. My expectation is that I would attend all of them.
Okay. Yeah. I am teaching faculty, so the 3, 5, 7, I probably could do all of those because I don't teach Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But well, I teach online, but I don't teach in person. But no, I just wanted to clarify that because I'm northern.
You're Bay Area, but
Bay
we
Area.
would pay for you to come, absolutely.
Oh no, it's not even the payment. I would expect that. It's more the oh my God, I'm going to go to 7 of these in 2 weeks. That's fine, but I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you very much.
No, that certainly is not my expectation. I'm expecting that because I'm kind of paying the bill, I want to have some responsibility for, what happens at these things.
No, that's
so I would
fine.
expect that I go to them, but okay.
Okay.
And then the last remaining region that we haven't talked about is the Inland Empire. So where would we want to try and slot them in?
Wherever it fits. I think what we are looking at though, so we've kind of accounted for 3, 5, and 7 at LA, Orange County, San Diego. Inland Empire, let's see if we can get them like in the next week on the 10th.
Okay.
That makes sense? 10th, 11th, or 12th. I mean, why Monday? Whatever. Whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That gives us a better understanding of what the priorities are. And you're right. It makes a lot of sense if we could push it back another week. Versus starting at the the 4th week in October. If we could push it back to the last week, that'll make a lot of sense in terms of timing, especially with the registration site.
Right.
Because it's going to take us, just a heads up, it's going to take us about 2 weeks to actually, from the time we get contracts with the hotels and venues, it really takes approximately 2 weeks for us to get that whole reg site up and running and has all the current and latest information. So we're going to consider using Eventbrite, and what we're going to try and do is just limit to 2 registration types per location. So it's going to be one link, one registration link, and then you click on the location that you're going to sign up for. That's our hope, that it's going to be one main registration site through Eventbrite that we're going to develop.
But did you say 2 types of registration? I didn't get that.
Yeah. So for example, if you're going to be actually just an attendee, we want to know if you're an attendee as part of the group session. And then if you're another registration type, for example, Blaine, you're going to be there, but you're not actually an attendee. You're actually going to be someone facilitating this whole thing. We need to kind of differentiate who's actually just attending as a main registrant, and then we also need to know who the VIPs and speakers and all that, in terms of, printing your name badge and that. So that's all that means.
Okay, I get you. Okay.
Yeah.
So then I would say for the remaining regions, the far northern, the Bay Area, and the Central Valley, you know which states we're looking at. We're either looking at that last week of October or we're looking at the 3rd week in November. Whichever feels best to you. But I would those kind of close together.
Okay. So we could possibly go to third week of November. That's what you're saying. If push comes to shove, we didn't have any dates. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think I appreciate what everybody's saying, which is we need some build-up time.
Yeah. Right.
You're even saying you need some build-up time just to get this thing together. So,
right.
So let's look at November as kind of our target date for most of this stuff.
Okay.
And I think you had Orange County at the Orange County at the last week in October.
No, we had date availability at the Hilton the week of the 20th to the 23rd. There was openings for those 4 days.
We're going to push that back, and that may be our first. That's like our dress rehearsal or something.
Yeah.
That'll be the one. Will be our kickoff, and then the rest of them we'll try to follow up in November.
Yep, sounds good. But just to clarify, we're still trying to go with the last week of October for Northern California, Bay Area, and Central Valley. Or are we trying to push everything in November?
I thought you said November for that.
Yeah. No,
Who's listening to this conversation? Anybody?
Yes, I think you were trying to aim as much for November as possible in the last week of October for the northern part of California.
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry, my headpiece went out, so I'm on speakerphone now.
Okay.
Battery went out of the headpiece. So where did we, okay, I missed just the last part of what Peggy was clarifying. Still there?
Yes. Say again?
I think I missed the last piece of what was being clarified.
This is Gwen. I just was clarifying that I understood where we left off was the last week of October was for Northern California, and everything else we were trying to put into November.
Okay.
This is Peggy. My notes say last week of October or third week of November for Central Valley, Bay Area, and Far North.
Okay.
Yeah, I would agree.
That's why we're clarifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. Maybe that third week of November for the northern regions. I didn't get where we decided on for the Orange County.
Orange County was going to go the first week of November. We're going to try and do that as our kickoff event, as our first one.
You're right. So probably November 3rd or something like that. Okay.
Yeah, so we're going to shoot for November 3rd.
Okay. All right. See how easy this stuff is? It kind of runs itself.
Well, thankfully, many people are listening.
Okay, so we got the site. Maybe I can start to pencil in. You know what? I don't want to do this because we're going to get confused again. I'll do this later. I'll send you in the minutes what we've decided on these dates. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Good, because I'm getting hungry already. All right, so here's my big question, and one of the reasons I need all of you, is anybody who's taken a look at or who's made any effort at all, I think, to discover who does professional development on each of these campuses knows there's a whole bunch of people, and it's hard to tell who does it all. So I need some lists. Who do I invite here? I have a database that has a bunch of people in it, and I got that by actually scouring the websites of the colleges themselves. But I know for a fact that even that is wrong. Mine is wrong. So, Leslie, what can you do for me? Oh, Leslie's still here? Maybe distracted. Deborah, do you have a database?
Yeah, we definitely have folks that are involved in professional learning on their campuses.
Blaine, one thing, I manage the professional development on my campus, and so I have a committee for that. But when we fill out the Flex Week forms, and LeBaron is on the call, when we fill out those forms and submit those to the state, we actually list all the people that were involved in our professional development on those that go to the state. So LeBaron might be able to speak to that database that collects of every one of the schools putting that information in.
Yep.
Okay, LeBaron, it's time for you to say something.
LeBaron is left to go somewhere. I don't hold on a second. Let me. Okay. So, could you repeat that again, please? I did hear my name. I paid attention. So what do you want me to talk about?
So LeBaron, this is Gwendolyn from Ventura College. You know, when we when we fill in those state required Flex Suite forms and we give you all that information, we list in there all the people that are on our professional development that help us build those programs. And that all goes to you. So I'm just guessing that you might have a database of all of those names that we could invite to these regional things because you're getting all the information.
Yes. And Leslie Carr has asked for that list, and I can share that. And I'm preparing. I had one person that I was trying to make sure was updated on the list, and I just got that information last week. So I was preparing to send her a list of all of the Flex Calendar coordinators in the system. I can share that list with you. But you're talking about even more than that, aren't you?
Right, the whole listing of all of our people.
You're talking about all of the people that are listed on the various Flex Calendar advisory committees.
Right.
Although
really the coordinators on each campus could promote it among their campus as well too.
Right, so there are two ways that we can do this. I mean, I can definitely very easily generate a list of all of the individuals who serve as the single point of contact for Flex on the college campus. And that list is very fresh. I can also, if you want, generate a list of all of the committee members because I think, well, let me see if I ask for their emails. I may only ask for the emails of the actual coordinator itself, but I'll tell you about that in a hot second. But if I can't come up with the email address for all of the committee members, I know that I can come up with the email address for 114 single points of contact because we do 112 colleges and 2 centers. So the North Orange and San Diego centers also submit separately. So
okay.
I'll tell you in a hot second exactly what we got here. Actually looking up the form now. No, I asked for the person's name, title, and classification. I don't ask for the committee members' email addresses.
Okay.
So, unfortunately, I wouldn't be able to get you that, but I can get you the official list that I can do.
We'll take the list. That sounds good.
Yeah, I can run a report right now since Leslie wants me to generate that report. I thought I had that last name in here. I'll have to track that last name down.
Okay.
But I can get that to you, if not today, definitely tomorrow.
Okay.
Want me to send it to you, Blaine?
Yes, send it to me, please.
I'll do that.
I think what I want to do is to get everybody's list, those who haven't. I think Kelly's made a good point here, and it certainly has been my experience from looking at the websites of the individual college, and in some cases actually calling the colleges, that last year's list may not be this year's list. People change.
Yes.
And so we've got a new PD coordinator on the Palomar campus. That's Kelly. And that's probably true on a lot of different campuses. And it's also true that no matter which list we're talking about, each campus has a tendency. I don't even know if I can make a blanket statement about all campuses, but there's a PD person for faculty, and there's a different PD person usually for classified staff. So there are a lot of different entities that we'd want to contact. So kind of, the more the merrier. The more we're able to actually ask to the party and then say share this invitation with other people, the more relevant it's likely to be. Obviously, I don't want to invite people who have nothing to do with professional development, but I do want to invite everybody who does have something to do with it, who can bring something to the conversation.
Yeah. Beautiful.
So,
yeah.
Go ahead. Comment? Hearing none? So Laverne, I need that from you. Deborah, if you can share something with me as well, and Leslie, and anybody else really who's made any attempt to contact people involved in professional development. If you've got a list, I'll try to make one big master thing for us to send to.
Okay.
Like I have my group mailing list for all that group, and I can just send that to you, and you could have all the contacts. So
fantastic.
And probably a lot of project directors, development project directors will have things like that.
Fantastic. And I will be happy to do the amalgamation and also to send that back to you all. So we'll have sort of a master list. The best guess that we have as to who our population is.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now on the marketing side of things, this is where I need a ton of help. Usually in my organization, I lean heavily on Michelle Masakia, who's kind of my right-hand man, or woman, I should say. Anyway, she does most of the marketing efforts for TKIP South. Unfortunately, she's on commission for the next 6 weeks. She decided to spend Labor Day breaking her right shoulder.
Oh.
So she really is not able to help at all. So I'm going to need some help from outside of my organization, unfortunately, for anything we do with marketing for this event. So who can help?
And Blaine, by that, are you meaning just getting the word out?
Yes.
Oh yeah, we can definitely get the word out through all of our networks. We'll have people.
Yeah, we could all do that.
Yeah, for
okay.
sure. Mm-hmm.
Great, I really appreciate that. I don't know, and Barbara, I'm hoping that you and Michelle Winhausen and your company can help us with some of the graphics for the flyers, etc.
Oh yeah, that's not going to be a problem.
Excellent. Just exactly what I wanted to hear.
Okay. We're here. We're working as part of the team.
Okay, perfect. So, I guess next steps, I think, LeBaron, you're going to send me your list, and everybody else is going to send me their list, Deborah and Leslie in particular.
Mm-hmm.
I will try to put together sort of a master for that. Let's try to figure out, when we can get to pull this up. I can't do it. Well, I can do it on the 17th. Is the 17th available for the rest of you?
17th.
Same time, same place? Yes, September.
Blaine, Windows and Marketing, we will be out of commission. We got a big project we're working on that day for the whole day from morning till night. But can we make it on the 18th?
I cannot do the 18th.
I can't do that.
All right, well, let's do a doodle. Let's not go there. I'll do a doodle, and we'll see when people are available then.
Okay, sorry about that.
It's okay. We're going to shoot anyway for a meeting in 2 weeks. So by that time, we should have the list. We may have some marketing materials, and we'll definitely have the regions picked out, as well as the sites. I'm hoping, Barb, that puts your people, means you got to do some work, obviously, but I'm hoping that we can get a lot more clear on where we're going to be and what kind of a message we're going to set up there. And by that time, I may even have the facilitators available to give us a better idea what the program itself is going to be like.
Okay. And Blaine, you'll stay on the line with Peggy and I for a few minutes?
Sure.
Okay, great.
Anything else for the good of the cause from any of you?
No.
All right. Thank you so much, Blaine.
Nope. Thanks, Blaine.
Thank you guys. You guys have been terrific. So just don't fall and don't break anything.
Yeah.
Got it.
All right. I'll see you next time. Thanks very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.